Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the City of Glens Planning Board meeting for June 4th. Yeah, just to accomplish this evening. I think everyone showing up. Start with the whole business first. We have to go over the minutes first. Anyone have any comments about the minutes from the previous meeting? Mr. Landry? No. Mr. Schnabel? No.
No comments.
No comments. I'd like to make a motion to the board that we accept the minutes as they're.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So our first order of business this evening is old business. We've had this here a few times. So it's site plan review SP 25-001, 156 Maple Street, Robert Newman, leasing tax map number 303.17-11-31, commonly known as 156 Maple Street, is seeking site plan review and approval to open a new restaurant in the existing building pursuant to City of Glensville zoning code chapter 220-17C17. So let me know.
Good evening.
And you are,
Robert Doyle.
and you,
Michael Prince.
welcome.
Thank you.
What do we have for information?
The first page is just simply the response back from the town stating that they received all the documentation and that they would get back to us if they had any additional requests or asks of us. We have not received any as of today. The next set of pages are our response to all the inquiries as to, any of the open items. Then there is a page that is from the last plumber that came in to inspect to make sure that the grease trap was functional and was able to suit the requirements of the environment that it was supporting. And then the final part of the packet is the original request that came to us saying these are the open items.
Yeah, IBS was the plumbing.
Yes, correct, sir. So it's traded all together. But the last ones I think.
So we had a few things, compliant parking code for that. Which we have received.
Right.
Okay, so it's look good. The grease trap, model capacity, you've exceeded that. Okay. The fence around the dumpster and the parking signs and all that, I can understand that you haven't done that because it's based on once you go in and start renovating
Right.
and doing that, those things,
Right.
will be up in building the coast to do that. So if this does get voted on and approved, there will be conditions where those have to be met at that time. You
Understood.
correct?
Yes.
Mr. Landry?
I almost wonder, Mr. Chairman, if we should read into the letter from Philip for buildings and codes, their response. I think these bullet items, you can tell us whether they're answered in that report.
Okay, they're all answered in that report. Yes.
And so I think it would be prudent to maybe go through and verify that. I mean, that's, can I read it?
Sure.
Okay. This is to planning board members. This is from Philip, Building the Code. It says to planning board members, I had anticipated attending the meeting tonight, but I am unfortunately unable to be there. I wanted to share my comments with the board and have them entered into record. The Building the Codes Department strongly recommend this application be denied due to the following reasons. And as I read these, maybe you can show us in here where these have been answered. The applicant's inability to accurately represent the total water usage and seating capacity. The applicant was not forthcoming with total water usage at the Warren County facility And this department inquired with the municipality to discover they had used 500 gallons per day the last quarter.
Okay, so if you turn to item 3 on the packet that we supplied, this would be the first page of the component, you'll see that there we said that we went through the items, and if you get to the following page thereafter,
Right.
so item 3.
All right.
And then on the next page, we have the water usage. So in there, you'll see that the water usage was put from 12/31 to 2023 to 3/31 2025. You have the usage in gallons, so the total in gallons for all the dates except for 3/31. I didn't have that, but that was supplied by the engineer. I put that in, so as you can see that normal usage per day was 297. For the last quarter, it was 500, but the average comes out to 322.
Okay.
All right?
And is it my understanding that this is the usage for the Warrensburg facility?
Correct.
Okay. And that is being used strictly as a reference.
It's being used as a reference, correct?
Okay. It, well, like I say, it's tough without Philip B here. Originally you were coming in at like maybe 100 for Maple Street.
Well, we didn't know at the time because we hadn't put this together. The other thing is that this facility where Spirits is has a 6-bedroom or 6 apartments upstairs that use water as well. So, you know, we basically had cut it in half. So we said it was about 100, 150 because we assumed 150 or half of the water use was being used by the private personnel living at the facility.
I guess my quandary with this is that we're using that as a reference. We're being asked to analyze and improve the facility here on Maple Street. With Philip not being here, to me, there must be some kind of formula that you put in that you've got a restaurant, you've got 60 seats, you've got 12 bar capacity, you've got this grease trap, you've got this. I spent 7 years as a manufacturer's rep in the commercial plumbing and heating business. Okay, and we would always have standards to go back to say, if I was dealing with a distributor and they're asking me, okay, you're going to build this restaurant, Randy. They would go to the distributor and say, okay, we're going to have this number of seats, this number of toilets, this number of grease traps and fittings and stuff, and they would do the fitting and analysis for the pipes, the size pipes you need, analysis you could do, and they would come up with a number based upon national average. So, and again, this is just my personal opinion. I guess, well, this average of what the done in Warrensburg has shown that you underestimated the usage of Warrensburg as well.
I would disagree with that. It's just simply again,
Okay.
and also I would call out right away that if you look at the first page that came from the gentleman that's not here, said, "Oh, I'll let you know if there's any problems." He sends you an email today and says, "I'm sorry, I can't be here, but we're going to throw a grenade into this process
Okay.
because, God forbid, we have a grease trap that was installed before we took rental of the property and said, hey, you guys, do you know anything about it? Yeah, it's a grease trap. It's like showing me a garbage can. It's a garbage can. It holds garbage. Okay, great. Is it compatible to handle the water usage? I would assume so because it was installed prior to us taking over the building. Now, we've had 3 different plumbers come in there, inspect it, and say, yes, this is doing the job it should do. It should have no problems handling the water going through it. Now, if it ends up that it's not able to handle it, the plumber said that if it's not handling it, it's going to overflow, you're going to have a mess. So therefore, it'll behoove us to replace said unit if the unit is not performing the way it should. I don't think anybody wants their toilet to overflow every day when they're trying to serve the kitchen, right? So
Right.
this is not something that should be a showstopper in this, right?
All right.
So I really kind of have an issue with, hey, we're going to sit here and do semantics about, hey, what is it? When it was asked originally, he went off on the top of his head and said, hey, I'm using about, 200-300 gallons.
Well, it's not-
And so we went and we said, okay, let's just say half. Since here we did the statistics, I actually put the computer together and said, hey, let me put in the numbers, and I plugged it in, you would have it.
Okay.
So we're using 322 total,
Okay.
including 6 apartments upstairs.
Again, just
So
my
even if we-
personal thing is, that, I don't know. I don't know what the hell the water usage of the place in Warrensburg has to do with the place in
The
Maple
numbers-
Street that we're looking at.
The number seat difference between Spirits and this new place is 7,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
If you read through all of the answers that are in this document, and I wish we were going line for line instead of back and forth, I believe it was 47 seats that we have in the new facility, which is more than suffice for the parking spaces that are allocated. The allocation of the parking spaces, if you look at it, are marked correctly. The dimensions are per the specs of the township. The alleyways are per the specs of the township, so that means that everyone can come and go. We've marked on the blueprint that there'll be barriers to prevent people from jumping over the curb onto the street from anywhere they like. We also are talking about how we would set up a barrier to prevent people from going on to the neighbor, since the neighbor doesn't want a fence. So we'll have to see if we can come up with something else that would be user-friendly. I have a couple ideas, and we would do something to make sure that they're not going onto her property.
okay.
But other than that, we do show that all in the drawings.
Okay, without jumping ahead. let's
Okay.
just- Well, again, just
Again, you're catching us off guard because we didn't have this letter.
my observations, okay? Let's jump to the next one. The applicant has represented 3 different seating capacities, verbally to the board, a seating capacity in the mid-30s. When they finally submitted water usage calculation, they used a figure of 54. But on their New York State Health Department application, they stated a total seating capacity of 80 seats.
Where's this? We're here?
So how do we make a decision based upon the fact that we started at 30? It went up to 54, and on your health department application, you put a,
My assumption would be is that, again, going back to the original, we didn't have all the seats in the facility. We have since purchased the seats and the tables and put it in.
how many seats gonna have?
Okay, we got 10 tables, that's 40 seats, okay? Then you have 12 and 12.
10 and 4, then you got 12 and 4. Okay, so you got 54.
Right.
Okay, so we'll agree on number 54. Okay, you got 64?
64.
Sorry, 60.
54.
All right. Okay, 64. Yeah, so we're at 64. So I'll put 64 down today in the data. Okay. And so like I said, we agreed on that, and I'm reading this letter. The applicant has been unwilling to acknowledge and develop a stormwater runoff plan per the city engineer's comments on the max lot coverage being exceeded. And other than a single gutter for stormwater, they are not providing a stormwater analysis or additional stormwater.
Again, when we met the first time, it was pointed out that the water on the front of the building was running straight into the street, which was true,
Okay,
because there were no gutters on the facility. We said in that first meeting, hey, we'll put gutters on and run it into the grassy knoll component of the property.
okay,
That was done, and we're proud to say that during the entire time of all these rains, and as you can imagine, I think we all feel like ducks today, that the amount of rain that we've been getting, not once has the water overflowed from the property to the street and or into the building, okay? The back part of the property does have gutters that push the water to the property itself. It does not push it to the street. And if you were to go up and down the street, you would not find puddles or anything around our facility. So therefore, has he gone out to the facility and done an inspection?
No. I can't speak for him, but I'm
Okay.
saying that
But again,
the way this reads, you made an effort to comply with some of these requests.
yes, and we told him about it, and he has not gone to inspect it, nor come to us and said, you know what, I need more analysis, and I don't even know how you would do that analysis. Keep in mind, if we were building a brand new building, I get it, because then we call up engineers and we say, hey, we got this much square footage on the roof, this much water being displaced, this is a pre-existing building. This has already been there. The buildings around us don't have this gutter system. They're throwing the water into the street. So while you're yelling at us because we're managing the water, the building across the street is still throwing it into the street.
No one's done anything about it.
Okay, but I'm just saying that,
This is a new application.
all right, but,
So this is times when stuff like this comes in, where we can correct
okay,
stuff.
but it has been
No.
corrected and nobody has gone and inspected it.
Okay.
Good opportunity, it's gonna rain over the next 2 days. Maybe this gentleman could go out there and take a picture and show us where the water is not being
All right.
managed.
All right, again, just for the record, that we will assume that it's gonna require Philip to go out there and inspect it.
Yes,
And then he's gonna provide what is determined as a stormwater analysis as per the city engineer. Okay?
That's,
He's
Gerard.
told by the city engineers that he needs.
He already looked at all, I already talked to him about that
He
a
just
while
told me
ago.
he hasn't looked at it.
No, Philip,
Okay,
the engineer. He's the original one that I sent all the stuff to
all
originally.
right, this is, so it's
Come on,
still,
right, Kevin?
it's still the concern of the city. Okay, that's still a concern that you guys have to address. And again, I'm reading a letter from the people that we rely upon for the standards that have to be met. So that's still a question. We'll say, the applicant has been unwilling to acknowledge city staff's comments on the state of the sidewalk apron, nor had they presented a plan to comply with the city's push forwards, pro-way compliance, and engage in the city's complete city's initiative. I think what's happened there is you guys don't realize that as leasers of the property, you are responsible for the condition of the sidewalks.
okay, and what's wrong with the sidewalk? Is it
Okay.
all intact, not cracked?
Well, then it has to be determined that they are in compliance.
All right, but see, this is, to me, it sounds like, hey, after 4 months, we haven't done an analysis yet of that sidewalk, whether it's cracked or not, and you have to flatten it out or fix it. So you're saying to me that now, surprise, surprise, we're not gonna approve you because you might have a crack, but we don't know, but no one's done an analysis. And we haven't asked you to give us proof of this, a videotape of this or something.
Okay, so
And so it's just
we'll put a question mark.
hearsay.
We'll put a question mark on that because again, I'm just gonna stick to the letter. I'll do my personal thing later. The applicant has conducted work at the site without approval or permits, along with their unwillingness to provide compliance with the city, state, federal programs and initiatives. There has been a general lack of cooperation from the applicant on this project. And again, this is coming from the acting director of the codes.
Now, according to, the codes,
Yeah,
the lines are already there. I just repainted it. So you shouldn't need a permit to repaint something.
okay, but I think, all right, also with I'm gonna finish reading the letter. Due to the general lack of progress made by the applicant throughout the duration of this project and the inability to produce accurate answers or answer certain questions at all, we recommend that this project be denied. This office is aware that the planning board architect consult has also raised issues, recently submitted documents, and also recommends denial of this process. So this is information that the planning board is receiving from the director of building and codes. Okay?
Acting director. And the other thing is that here he goes and he says, hey, he got a letter from the engineer, but there's no letter from the engineer, only his letter.
Okay,
So,
if you give me a minute, I'll read the letter.
hmm,
We got that too. I think what's happened here, and again, my personal observation, my turn to talk. You guys bought a place, it used to be a restaurant.
we didn't buy it, we're renting.
You guys leased a restaurant. There used to be a restaurant. 8 years, has been in operation in 8 years. 5, excuse me, 5. And you just assume, well, I'm buying a place, used to be a restaurant, I'm gonna look for a restaurant, I'm gonna be fine. My experience on the planning board, these things are constantly changing. Zoning requirements, different things like this are constantly being updated. And like I say, that this is why it seems like you come to a meeting, we might ask you for 2 or 3 things, you come back the next month, you got 1. And then there's 2 more, then it seems to me that if you put all this together and you're gonna have a copy of it, you should be able to take and say, okay, the building and codes department is not happy with this, we gotta address this.
All right.
Because it's still, I mean, it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of our time. We're here trying to make sure that your business is gonna succeed. We're here to make sure that somebody's not gonna come in after you spend tens of thousands of dollars to open the place up, that they're gonna shut you down because you missed one thing. So, you know, believe it or not, we really are trying to work with it. So that's the letter from the,
All right.
building and codes guy. Which, can I give him a copy of that, which, because it's kind of a laundry list of incomplete.
It's in the record.
It's in the record. Here's a copy of it. All right, so there's your areas still. uh, And then also too, and I'll give you a copy of it here, there is a, and if you like, I could read this. This is from Jeremy Snyder, the city engineer.
That's the guy, yes.
Have you got that?
I know, that's the man I talked to a couple of times.
Okay. All right, let me read that too again for the record, and I'll give you a copy. Again, we're just trying to give you the issues of concerns that need to be addressed so that, you know, we can move forward on this. This letter is addressed to Mr. Devin Roselle, Planning and Zoning Coordinator, regarding site plan review number 25-0001, 156 Maple Street applicant, Robert Newwiller. Dear Mr. Roselle, the engineering department has reserved the planning board materials provided by your office and offer the following comments. Citing a previous email from engineering dated April 2nd, the Water and Sewer Department has reviewed the video footage of the existing sewer lateral provided by Mr. Newwiller. The pipe appears to be in fair to good condition and does not reveal any obvious pipe deficiency. The pipe is deemed sufficient for continued use. The applicant has provided a letter from IBS Septic and Drain Service dated 5/23, stating that the grease trap is properly installed and is functional. No further comments or requests from engineering regarding this grease trap. In my opinion, the decision to pursue the remaining items of consideration as outlined in engineering's initial review letter dated February 21st, 2025, in particular, comment number 9-15 is at the discretion of the planning board. So there's a letter, and I'll give you a copy of it saying that your pipe, your lateral pipe is good, your grease trap is sufficient. And like I say, so this is from the city engineer. And so I'll give you this.
Okay.
So there's three things that are sufficient that you provide us information that will allow us to proceed. So I guess just to finish my section of this is I still feel that the building and codes department still has concern that you guys have somehow got to get together, come up with one final lease. Say we got, you know, there's 3 approvals from the city engineers, 2 or 3 questions from zoning. And once you have those answers to their, you know, you got to remember, we rely on them.
Well, let's go through these answers that I gave, because again, this was supplied to the engineer, and for him to call it out now.
The engineer didn't call it.
Well, no, this building code
This
gentleman.
gentleman isn't here, so I don't know.
Well, but he had his right to have his letter read, so then we should have the right to read the letter I responded to him with,
Okay.
right? If we're gonna have the tit for tat, then I'm fine with us going through this.
Water needs considering.
Yeah, but
That's big deal.
No.
exactly, because this is already,
We're fine with that.
all right, so in that case, you know, the water drainage, again, the facility is draining correctly, the gutters were put in. And as the call out said in the letter that some stuff was done before getting a quote unquote permit, again, that was a misunderstanding, because when we came in the first time, we were instructed, please get this taken care of before the next meeting. So we went and we re-highlighted the lines because the lines were already there. So we said, oh, well, we don't have to draw new lines. We don't need engineers to do this. The lines are here. The gutter was something that we had told you during the conversation. We said, oh, there's no gutter along the front part of the building. We put one in. I have never heard of someone needing a permit to put a gutter in, but maybe oops, our bad. Not a big deal though. The gutter is functioning as it's supposed to. We did create the French drain function, so that's why the water is not bubbling out
But
over.
that is not the question. This is where you're talking over here and we're over here.
Yeah, but
Putting a gutter on the front of your building and putting a French drain in is not a stormwater analysis for additional stormwater controls. You went out and you thought that maybe putting a gutter on would satisfy the thing. They are looking for a stormwater analysis. It involves your grass with the stormwater zone. It involves the parking lot, how it interferes with the street, how it goes into the sewers, that thing. Putting a gutter, you made in good faith, you did an improvement to the building. Then they're saying they need more information.
Well, we had supplied that, if you had read the response, we gave them how much land
Okay,
we had for the grass area that where the gutter was feeding into. We
but
said
that's
this,
that's not their question. The
on,
question is, you
well-
not provided a stormwater analysis.
again, I'm not a meteorologist. I
Neither am I.
can't give you a stormwater analysis because I wouldn't be able to even know
Different thing.
where to start from.
We have something other than the stormwater.
Okay,
So let's get past that. What else are we stuck on?
I guess, or let me ask you this, and again, I don't know if this, it's my turn to talk, so why not? I have a copy of an email provided to us from IBS Septic and Drain that you were very frustrated with them, and you made the comment to them that you were gonna open whether the planning board approved the
Oh, not
application.
IBS.
That's not true? I'm just asking.
No.
Just, so that's,
I know the man very well.
okay, so that's all I got. That's all I got.
Mr. Chairman?
I think it was enough to said with those items. Those the only items I saw were asking. Yeah, I saw those, the only items I saw, and I think this is the rest of us. Perfect. Was there?
No, you have to look at these things, and we appreciate that. I can see that if you're here. That, you mentioned stormwater, the sidewalks, I know one of their things was to take a look at the accessibility on the sides of the property. And take a look at the conditions of the sidewalk.
Yeah, and everything is clean and the sidewalks are flush with the pavement, so if you're in a wheelchair, you would be able to go from the street into the parking lot, even though our parking lot's more than capable of supporting handicap. We have handicap parking, plus there is no intention of people parking in the street because you're gonna be marking it up for bicycles. So regardless of one way or the other, there shouldn't be an issue.
No, the sidewalk is a little different condition around the east side of that. That would be the only thing I would say maybe that needs to be addressed, is maybe the sidewalk on that east side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
A lot of stuff. There's been a lot of correspondence. There's been attempts to improve. My suggestion, I'm asking this because I'm relatively new, is it would it be possible that we approve the application with certain conditions, whatever outstanding items are left, just approve it with the condition that those outstanding items be taken care of before you receive your certificate.
That's fair.
That-
We're talking about here, it doesn't pertain, that it comes into the health department and to building and codes too, after the us has just been the neighborhood, this, we're planning. There's other things that they're gonna have to apply with that will is stricter than we,
And enforcement.
yes.
Yeah.
It's enforcement.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So that's my intention.
Okay.
The only thing left for me, from what's already been said, is number 9 of the city engineers, 70% impervious coverage or 30% green space for that zoned area. And I don't know if that's something that we're consciously saying no problem, or if we're not allowed to do that because that's a zoning thing. But it is always too paved and too impervious in the past. And like I say, if these are the times when these things get caught up on, that's the glaring one it's not happening. So I think that needs to be dealt with somehow, with either us coming to some understanding or agreement with it as a board, or that needs to be satisfied. I don't know. Number 9 is a problem. And Jared has listed items.
Number 9, the engineer, place has been there forever. It's one of those things, we have a lot of places in the city that aren't compliant with that. Do we change that now?
Well, I think it's case by case. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna say you gotta look at the department, but it has to, that's, I mean, to me, I think that's gotta be case by case, and this next is just not realistic to increase the green space. That's my
I think if we were in a new build,
I would be saying purchase rather than lease. But
Yeah.
for the future, if you're looking to purchase the property, I think that's something that we should address.
yes.
Understood.
You feel comfortable making a motion here to vote on this?
Let's, on the list, those.
Just a few things that we can put in here for criteria.
Yeah.
Rachel, so you have. We already have a couple things that are on here, that the fenced in, the dumpsters, public signs in. Yeah, that's on the site plan anyways.
So that's.
Yeah.
That-
Everything's on the side, yeah.
Yeah, dumpsters in there.
Excuse me? Nina had a couple of comments about the site plan. The Smith site plan is not drawn to scale. Mr. Warner case mentions that the board provided in earlier comments, but they did not see correct. There's no way to verify the accuracy of the dimensions claimed. I do not believe the dimensions fit show on that lot, as mentioned in earlier meetings, inadequate parking lot clearance, sorry, safety risk and liability. The drive aisle is dead at the neighbor's property line with no turnaround space. This is not in keeping with acceptable practices. In addition, we discussed the rate of signage, certain directing people to turn right out of the lot to avoid late night traffic on Walnut Street. Mr. Waller said he would do this, but nothing in writing is indicated for the record. I don't believe an acceptable site plan should be approved. The site plan is the only information I see in this updated application.
Well, if you take a look at the site plan, there are arrows, directional arrows to show that you are able to, that we are going to be putting them in. Again, the other thing with the alleyways, they're 22 feet wide, which is acceptable. That's per your specs for two cars to be back to back. So, they back up, they theoretically won't hit each other, and that they can then come and go from that space back out the way they came. So it's a two-way thing. That's why it's 22 feet. If it was only 12 feet, then yes, you would be correct. They would need to have a way to make it a circle. But because it's 22 feet, they can come in and out through the same component that they entered in on.
Yeah, this isn't drawn to scale here.
It is drawn to scale. We actually had an engineer draw.
Do you mean this one? So it's 22 feet from here?
It should be. Yeah, that's right. Yep. It should be all marked. Yeah.
So, one question there, look at these parking spots, area of 2 parking spots equals 116 feet. 160 feet on this goes from curb to front lot line, so you're gonna be short.
I swear I've been measuring it over and over again. Here's from the sidewalk, not the street. To measure this.
Document shows curb. The lot line is 160 feet. You get 116 feet edge of the sidewalk.
Again, if you were to go into our parking lot and measure, it's 18, 22, 18, 18, 22, 18. I can guarantee you that. It's,
no problem.
That,
yes, that's well.
So going by that, data that's been listed for the wrong, this is correct. That may be this something.
Yeah, the problem was the line went all the way to, you're calling it the curb, but I guess the street layer. And it should have said 116 from the parking lot area, so that's what that mistake showing.
And those arrows are gonna be installed, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna put signage and or paint it on the parking lot, so it'll be one or the other.
So that'll be a good.
It all would have been done, but it went,
We were told to wait.
Work.
Exactly.
yeah, that's what I said.
The chicken or the egg situation.
And this is, they want this to be a right-hand turn, so people don't go up into that.
Right.
Correct.
Now, is this your lot line right here? That's your lot line.
This is making.
No, this is your lot line.
That's the artificial barrier that I'm putting in so that this woman has her, things, but we don't want people going there. There's no sense in making space for the cars that.
These are the around the combination backing out of the parking lot.
Mhm.
Without backing out all the way here, very difficult to back out that parking lot.
Well, I was trying to put a solid barrier here, I was thinking of.
But is it, that's what my question is, it's for property here,
Yeah,
so this is the parking.
it's part of our property, but she driveway is filed by people going into the.
So your lot line is where?
Our lot line starts almost where her driveway entrance begins, so we have another 8 feet or so.
That doesn't show that.
No, again, I do artificial barrier to just say, hey, let's stop right here.
Okay, that is definitely something that has to be addressed, so,
You hear enough excuses, I don't have to make that.
well, like I said, relying on the neighbor's property to prevent back out of the parking spot to get out of the parking lot, it's not acceptable. So if we have a tough parking spot, like, what's your?
That's simple.
That's easy. It's done. This way, works safe, we can go out that way. Well, you don't even, 22 feet from one way.
Well, it's only, that's
Fine. They still won't hurt us in the amount of parking spaces we have.
You still have enough. Okay. What's your artificial barrier?
I was thinking, I was gonna show it to Bobby to see is, I was thinking either a potted plant kind of attitude with maybe just a chain link kind of fence, because she doesn't want a real fence. And I don't want to have something permanent in case she says, I want a fence, I want to be able to take that out and put a fence in, but she might complain about headlights and things like that. But I really don't think we're gonna have that problem, so.
Yeah, because I've sat and talked with the lady.
We asked her, she didn't want it, we like, you're sure? Because we could put it in. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to see that if I don't have to. Well,
Reduces by the parking spaces.
I mean, that's the only way you're gonna go and make it, so you got parking. Other than that, I don't think Tuesday, had about 19, so
No, I think that it's.
I would say 18 feet.
You use that for,
This four spots,
and now we can just move around.
and that's fine.
What's that?
In the condition.
You got that on it?
Yeah, I got it. It's in this.
What do you have, anything else?
No.
What's that?
Certainly, should we have a?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have to go soon. Yeah.
So it's not even.
So it's a,
Oh. See.
What about the sidewalks? What's that? That's code issue.
That's up to you.
so we don't have to worry about the enforcement of that, that would be a code issue after.
So.
Bad, that's
Any other issues?
Basically, I think we should put in there about the approved signage and arrows.
Yep, I've got that.
But that's on parking.
Yeah,
That's what we used to say.
Yep.
yeah, eliminate 4 parking spaces center on it.
Mhm.
Jamie, did you say something is changing to 18 feet? Which portion, which?
Well, no, instead of 9, it's 18.
Yeah.
You're taking, actually taking part two.
Right, so nothing's changing as
No,
far as.
no.
So I want to be sure.
This would be 9, not 18.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And they have the installation of the fence for the neighbor, you're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's, I already, I drew the line, it's just,
Yeah, that's okay.
it's just to keep people from
Do you
artificially.
want that as a condition?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you said you're-
I'm gonna do it because it has to be something, otherwise I'll have people exiting.
There it is.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board. Let me just get right, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board acting as the board of site plan review hereby grant site plan approval with the following conditions for the project identified as 156 Maple Street project, Robert Boulevard, commonly known as 156 Maple Street. The following conditions are that the 4 center parking spots on the north side of the parking lot be eliminated as parking spots, leaving 18 feet for drivers to be able to turn around.
Yep.
Or drive. Second would be to have directional signs on Walnut Street that advise people to take a right out of the parking lot.
Mhm.
And the third would be to erect a barrier on the north side of the parking lot between the neighbor and the parking lot.
Not a problem.
These were presented at the meeting of June 4th, 2025.
Yeah, that's in the second category, that's around the station.
They're in the second.
Yeah, it's in the second.
One correction,
Yes,
they cannot put signs on Walnut Street. The signs for right and only out of their parking lot. Yeah, it's on their.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found the thing that this guy has a potted plant thing and a signpost, so.
Yeah.
it's right. on the property.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Landry? Okay, we get a second on that motion? Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Lincoln.
Yes.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner. Marty. Yes.
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 No.
Motion passes.
So we're approved.
You approve it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You all have a great
The
night.
criteria.
Good luck.
All. Yeah. All right, our next order of business, new business, site plan review, SP 25-006. This got tabled, I'm sorry. Anyone here to comment on the Ames Goldsmith application this evening? Yeah. Three, encroachment permit. Oh, make a motion to table, site plan review SP 25-006. Robert A. Holmes, PLLC, representing Ames Goldsmith.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, encroachment permit. Michael Fernandez representing Trey Mia's, leasing map number 302.20-24-16, commonly known as 21 Bay Street, Suite 1, is seeking to have 5 outdoor dining tables with a total of 20 chairs pursuant to Code City of Glens Falls zoning code, chapter 189-17. This will require an advisory opinion by the planning board to the common council. Anyone here representing this application? Make a motion that we table that.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Does it have any merit that the previous restaurant had approved?
Convenience changing, they're all more tables,
Okay,
or bigger table. It's just changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Site plan review. SP 25-007, Thomas DeStal leasing tax map number 302.20.28.18, common 36 South Street, is seeking site plan review to open soda jerk and gourmet popcorn retail shop pursuant to the City of Buntsville zoning code, chapter 220-19B. This will require site plan review of the pool. Anyone here representing that? Who's come forward? All right. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Thomas DeSal.
Okay. Your application here, you'd like to tell us?
I'd rather be home cooking steaks on my grill. Okay, no, so I'm not really not doing much to the, I'm just doing some aesthetics on the inside of the building. The only remodeling I did, I just replaced some ceiling tiles up on top. I put a little counter in. I got 2 poppers and a caramelizer. And I'm just painting it up really pretty, and I'm just gonna do it like 50s theme, old time, like you're back in the 1950s kind of situation.
Pretty cool.
So the main, I mean, I'm not looking at the walk-in is just for fun. I'm not looking. We're going like with if you're familiar with like edible arrangements, we're going to do like edible popcorn bouquets. We're going to deliver big online business, hospitals, all popcorn for occasions kind of thing. So the bulk of our traffic is going to we're not going to. I'm sure we'll do some foot traffic, but the meat of the business is pretty much a lot of online stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so. And as far as
We'll be able to walk in there again.
yeah, and then the only thing I don't know about is like I don't know where I put a dumpster. I don't know if I'm gonna even need a dumpster. There's not really much disposal, so I mean I don't know what the requirements are on that. If you want like a standard household bin, I don't know what the requirements. It's something I had concerns about the trash removal.
Does this space have access from the rear?
Yes. So Pete's Diner next door, they have the recycle and the one for the home. So I don't know if the ones have changed. So you guys just tell me what you want me to do and I'll comply. Whatever you.
what was this before?
It was Fashion Follies. It was a woman's clothing boutique.
Like a secondhand clothing?
Yeah.
Would you like to start us off?
Yeah, actually, I had a couple of questions for Dave. On number 5 of the application, is proposed action A, permitted use under the zoning regulations, B, consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. Both of those are no,
Like seeker?
Yeah.
which
Seeker.
seems not right.
Sometimes it populates itself, like, incorrectly, just.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
And then number 6 is no as well. And
That would be a yes as well.
both just don't seem, for the record, they don't seem great to have.
Now, this is a type 2 action, anyway, so really
Yeah,
there's no further action, but you're correct, those are mistakes on the phone. And these phones are confusing.
as long as that didn't sit there lying in wait for a future problem
Yeah.
to dig them up, because they seem like they should
Yeah,
all
it's
go.
certainly, the proposal is certainly consistent, predominant character of the existing building and landscape within the 5 years. It's permitted on the zoning laws, it's consistent. Anything else?
Oh, no.
So are there any requirements as far as the kitchen, now creating a kitchen and cooking popcorn and stuff that we have to be concerned with?
I got proof with I fall under agricultural markets, not the health department here, because 51% of my product is gonna be prepackaged, not, if I do an event,
Yeah.
everything, is prepackaged. So that falls under agricultural markets, and they already came in. They-
Already got the health department.
They've already been in. I put a 3-base sink in, a hand washing sink. You guys would be more than welcome to come and check everything out. Everything is right up to par.
Okay.
I had to put oh yeah, they made me go back. I had to get indirect drains. Yes, it backs up, so I had to have that put in. You guys are welcome to come in and check everything out. Everything's, I you know, I, I've had a month. I wanted to be here last month for this, so I've had a month to really tweak everything. So I'm ready to roll,
Yes,
So you guys are welcome to come in and check everything out.
no other,
So it's just popcorn, nothing else. It's all-
Caramel apple, candy apples.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do like the 50s candies, remember, everything's prepackaged.
What's, is that the, do you have big front windows?
Yeah, there's 2 windows.
You're gonna, there won't be seating or anything.
No. Yeah, just all. Yeah, I do. Have you been by the location?
Yes.
So the antiques?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be all the Coke and Pepsi,
Okay.
everything's,
That was big. I
everything 50s.
think it's a great idea. Looks good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. The only thing I would have to, just as far as a comment, you're probably gonna have to move the codes. It's, are you using oils for your popping, your corn popping?
Oh, yeah, use vegetable oil.
Vegetable oil? Okay, so I don't know what the code is exactly for that, but a lot of times you have to require to have a phone system,
Oh, what's this
a
one?
phone system, a ventilation system, and
Okay.
possibly an extinguishing system for anything.
An answer, okay.
It's grease-laden vapors, so anything that's lost in the oil, you can consider that like prior.
Okay.
I don't know how it falls under.
Well, I have the commercial poppers I have, they have, the, the grates in that come out, that get weekly cleaning. So that catches all the grease.
Yeah, so just something you're probably gonna deal with the fire code.
Okay, okay,
I don't know how it falls under that. I
Right.
think if you're doing any type of fryer, same exact type. of
Right.
code, it would definitely. require-
Friday, but I understand, you have them come in, I'll,
Yeah, so I don't know exactly how it's gonna affect your operation, but it's
okay,
consider.
okay. Very good. There's the caramelizer, my big, runs on steam. There's no oil under it. It's a 50
Yeah.
caramelizer.
I think almost everything's been covered. I think it's a great idea,
Oh, thank you.
and it's a great location, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, it's just, I'm just, listen, I'm in the twilight of my career. I'm ready. I'm like semi-retired. I'm doing this because I love it. I'm not doing it for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the community's gonna really like it. It's gonna be fun.
I made a comment to someone recently, and I said I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but within a year or two, South Street could be the nicest street in the city.
Sweet, yeah, it's beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing what's going on,
Yeah.
so.
I'm gonna make the best pop you can see. I do 20 flavors gourmet, like really. It's my love, it's my passion. So it's gonna be,
Because you have to go to Lake Placid to get there.
yeah. No.
Yeah.
You might be back to see us for, get a group there for some seats out front.
Right.
Sure. Make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board acting as the Board of Site Plan Review hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Thomas D. South, commonly known as 36 South Street, as presented at the meeting of June 4th, 2025.
That's one more thing. She came over yelling at me too. She said, I got a letter and it said 36. She said, you let him know it's 32 South Street. So Peter's down there. They own the building. So
So you're 32.
I'm 32, yes.
Okay,
I'm 32.
so can we strike that new commonly known as
Next door.
32 South Street?
Yep.
Okay. As a group to the meeting of June 3rd and June 4th, 2025.
I second the motion.
Can I ask one more question? I'm
Yes.
sorry. So I talked to Eric over at the Shirt Factory, and I called the clerk. Can I do the event tomorrow night with the Shirt Factory? Like I can?
That's not a question for this board. Wait,
What's that?
that's not a question for this board.
Okay, all right,
You
okay,
gotta go to the clerk's office.
okay, all right.
Yep.
Well, no, okay, that's fine. Okay.
Yes. Second,
Second, all in favor?
Yes.
yes.
Fine.
All right, am I good?
Good luck.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Check with the post office.
That's why, okay, very good.
Hey, thank you very much. Good to see you there.
I'll bring you guys out here. We'll see.
That is not the tax number that they're not.
It's not, you know,
Is it? No, we don't.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, encroachment permits, small construction, representing Johnson Bone, owner of tax map number 303.13.9-4, Colony Notes 90 through 92 Cooper Street, is seeking approval of a curb cut to install a new driveway apron pursuant to city of Glens zoning code, chapter 220-1 K. This will require an advisory opinion by the planning board to the common council. Is anyone here representing? And make a motion to table that?
I,
Three. Okay, so I'm gonna check it on that. Tax.
Oh, that was what is on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, they looked it up wrong because it's the two, it's the two. So that would be.
Okay. Architectural review, AR 25-002, Ethan Hall, representing Glens Falls Real Estate LLC, owner of tax map number 203.17-13-109, Colony Notes 194 Maple Street, seeking architectural review to create a new main entryway to their existing building pursuant to City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 220-20E. This will require architectural review.
Good evening. For your records, my name is Ethan Hall, principal with Brzezinski Hall Architecture. With me tonight is Mohammed Bilal, the owner of Green Mountain Food and Glens Falls Produce. The project is located at Glens Falls Produce, Maple Street, Leonard Street here. Current is the street that goes back to the shirt factory. The building is oriented as we've got here. It's got some parking in the front, it's got some parking in the back, and loading docks and stuff in the back. This is the front facing facade and the entryway that comes into the building here. What Mohammed's looking at doing is this portion over here, which the previous people that ran Glens Falls Produce really used this as just storage space. They're looking at making this the retail operation portion of it. And the only way to really get from the office space and the retail space that's over here now into this space is to go all the way around through the warehouse and then back down and into this space. So what we're doing is we're going to connect the building here so that we can come through here, create a new entryway that looks like the entry to the building. Come in, utilize the entry and the common space that goes between the two. This is how the building will look. We're really just extending the shed roof out and aligning it with the front of the building here, making a connection point and the connection coming in to the retail portion of the building. All of the exterior materials are going to be a complement to what's there now. Color scheme basically stay the same as what's there now. And that's really about the extent of our project. It's just infilling something that's already there.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this application? Eric, you the only one here? Cool. All right. No one here that wants to comment on this?
I'm good.
You good?
yeah, you're just knocking down those shrubs that are there.
Yeah. Yes, we do have, there's some ground mounted equipment for the coolers, that'll just pull forward, stay just in front of where the building is now.
You know, I looked at the site, I think it's. Well, yeah.
Mr. Landry?
Well, I have no questions. Like I say, I think you're really just filling in the kind of notch in the building, so. Like I say, I think it's gonna look good when you're done. Thank you. I'm all set.
Answer my question about the equipment thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right now, it sits back here in the alcove. We're just gonna slide it right forward. We got space between the front of the building, there's this space that's out here, so we got space, we can slide these forward in one second.
I think it's, I think it's necessary. Actually, move it across the back warehouse area. It's just not, I think it's operating.
Now we can go from front.
Yeah, I think it's for safety purposes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I.
No issues.
I didn't hear, did Nina have any?
I'll actually stop saying.
Oh,
Devin Roselle, zoning planning coordinator. I was just gonna say, because it is ARC review, we should probably read Nina's comments. And
Famous comments, right?
if there are none, then I apologize for interrupting.
You have to.
I haven't figured.
Go ahead.
There will be no changes in the site permeability, the definition will match the existing building, looks good, it will be an improvement for the others.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and for the purposes of seekers, the type 2 action, so one can do it.
Then I would like to make a motion that the Glens Planning Board acting as the board of architectural review hereby grant architectural approval for the project identified as Ethan Hall representing Glens Falls Real Estate LLC, commonly known as 194 Maple Street, as presented at the meeting of June 4, 2025.
I second. All in favor?
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. That's the earlier. Approach never come in. Reach Rudolph, tax map number 302.12-13-48, 34 Baldwin Avenue, is seeking approval of curb cut to install a new driveway pursuant to the city of Wausau zoning code. Chapter 220-13K, one is to require an advisory opinion by our planning board to the common council. Anyone here representing that? I'm gonna make a motion to table that. All in favor? I'll blame you. I can never saw that on screen. All right. Approaching BB Wells, tax map number 309.36-3-10, commonly known as 62 Mohegan Street, seeking approval of a curb cut to install a second driveway and apron pursuant to City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 220-18L. This required advisory opinion by the planning board to the common council. She's here.
Hello, I am Phoebe Wells, and this is very far away, but I'm here. I live at 62 Mohegan Street, so I'm here to request a second driveway being added. The materials, I think I submitted photos of the property and where we are proposing it. So as you know, homes like mine are old, they're historic, and they were made with just, narrow driveways. My street doesn't have any on-street parking or off-street, no, on-street parking. Yeah, so that's all we have. So we had been parking in front of the house, and then we received violations. We're told that that was against city code. We weren't aware of that. So I've gone through the process, met with people, talked with people about adding a second driveway. I also have a letter from my neighbor that I have left at my seat that, if you don't mind, if I can submit that. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone here? Okay. I got to give you a chance there. It's part of the process.
Do I? Where do I?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Actually. All right. For this application, the neighbor says, to make concern, I just provide my full permission support for my neighbor Phoebe Wells, who resides at 62 Mohegan Street, to apply for or install a second driveway on their property. As adjacent property owner at 60 Mohegan, I've been informed of the proposed changes and have no objection to the construction of the additional driveway. I understand the location and design of the new driveway. I believe it will not negatively impact the character or functionality of the neighborhood. Please consider this letter as a formal documentation of my consent to the city of Glens Falls approval process. If you have any questions or requirements from us, please feel free to contact. So you have recommendation from Public Works and the city engineer. City of Glens Falls Engineering Department, your planning board members and zoning board of appeals members. Current application review. This is from the city of Glens Falls. The city of Glens Falls Engineering Department, Water and Sewer Department, respect to request that all current application review the following considerations. Over the past 20 to 30 years, the city has invested millions of dollars in reduced stormwater runoff. While significant progress has been made, more work remains necessary in maintaining proper drainage in the city streets. An increase in high-intensity rain events and temporary standing water. If additional curb cut applications warrant approval, we suggest that any new parking services be constructed of pervious materials and allow stormwater to infiltrate into the ground before reaching city streets. Alternatively, we suggest that all storm water potential runoff created by new impervious areas be managed and stored at the applicant's property. We have a letter from the city engineer. It's not about five. Yep, did we? I have that's not in my package. Yeah. Okay. Tom Gerard, City of Glens Falls. My opinion, the lot is too small for two driveways. There's 40 or 50 feet lot, full lot. It's going to be all driveway side. I will let the other go.
Can I respond to that? I haven't seen that letter, so is this the time I respond or do I wait for that?
Okay.
So nearly every house on my street has two driveways. Both neighbors on either side of mine have two driveways, and I'm not asking for the entire side to be a driveway like my other one. It would just be, the 12 by 15 foot. So I hadn't heard of that letter, so yeah. This is the first side.
Ms. Slater?
I know the city engineer suggests an impervious surface. Are you gonna put blacktop in or?
So that I compared pricing options. So he has been wonderful and has answered many emails of mine. And I know that when we met, I know gravel is against code, as that is really the only affordable option. The permeable concrete that I guess the city engineers are referring to is about $5,000, as opposed to 1,200 to 2,000. I'm a new homeowner. I do not have that in order to spend. So asphalt would be my preferred material, as that is the materials used on our streets besides gravel, because there's also gravel driveways. But I'm more than happy to explore, the shape of the slope of the driveway in order to make sure that the runoff isn't going into the street. I understand, responsible building. I totally get that, but we're talking about like a $3,000 difference between asphalt and permeable concrete. And
I think you're gonna be fine, because what they suggested, they don't require.
okay,
Suggest to me means it'd be nice if you could, but,
I wish I could.
okay.
There is a permeable black to the walls.
Yeah.
Okay, I can explore that for sure. I don't know what the cost of that.
You just have to be careful when you're doing it, sand or stuff like that, it will fill it in.
Okay,
And that's something with that, any of those permanent structures, you can clog up those things.
Yeah.
And so again, but that is a suggestion, not a requirement in
Right,
order of.
right. And the only other thing is too, I think you are correct as far as the fact that where it's not gonna go along the side of the building, you're not gonna have to worry about snow coming off or crushing your car.
Which is part of the reason, because on the only other driveway we have, it does slope and there's,
Right,
and it's,
But your driveway goes back behind your house.
no, it doesn't. Nope.
Your other driveway.
Nope. So it just runs up against the side of the house.
What's the black picture? When I was there, I didn't.
That's not, that was a previous owner. Like, that's a Google map. We had them remove that before we
So
bought
the
it.
driveway just runs up to the side and just stops.
Yeah, yep.
Why don't we just require that?
Because it wouldn't, that is what he recommended. That wouldn't work. We also have 2 dogs and we keep, we have that like gated off. So we wouldn't be able to do that with our 2 dogs and it would cut into that. And I honestly, I don't know how we would get 2 cars in and out.
Yeah, to shuffle the cars.
Yeah,
Everybody can see it.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're in Walmart, but that's a whole city driveways are all locked and everybody shovel.
I think the only other thing you're gonna have to be cognizant of is to make sure that the car doesn't overhang the sidewalk.
yes, and I actually measured both of our cars to make sure that that would fit within that, and it does.
Okay. No, I'm all set.
Actually, I'm putting that as 15 feet for a regular pickup truck or a large SUV. Walk.
Yeah.
Say that again?
An SUV, large SUV or a pickup truck that you want, 15 feet, trying to, for your balls at the curb.
Understood. So
Just want to make sure you're not beside it.
we do actually have large SUVs, and I did measure it. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't agree with this. I would see it, I think it has to be for mobile. I mean, I know everybody has them, or maybe they do on the street, but just because it was allowed before, we're trying to move forward with our utilities and green space and all that. And I think if you have the ability to use the driveway that you have and extend it, I would say that should be what happens rather than creating more blacktop. If it is going to be done, I would say it definitely has to be improved. I don't think it can be asphalt. I think it doesn't look good, and I think it creates too much.
Asphalt doesn't look good.
2 driveways. I think it's just too much.
Every house on the street has.
I know I'm saying when you go forward, when you try to do things in the city better than maybe you did before, just like those folks before with the restaurant. What might have been done a few years ago, we try to incorporate better practices every time. So I'd say if you're going to do it, I would say condition has to be that it has to be permeable. Block, but I would not be in favor of that. I would be more in favor of extending your driveway.
Is this a single occupancy, single family occupancy or not, you know?
No, it's just a single.
It's just your own personal car.
Yep.
Can you slope the driveway? So that it manages that storm water?
Yeah.
Is there other alternatives to maybe putting a slope on it, so?
It doesn't go into the street.
Right, so it doesn't go into the street.
Especially
And
in that neighborhood.
It doesn't limit your neighbors. Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to, do that. And in my research, that is what I had come across too.
I think that's,
With the dry well in there, or drain into.
that would be commercial. I don't think what they're saying applies to residential.
No, but we're still just trying to.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, be greener,
Right.
you know. Just keeping the water from going into the street.
Right.
And down into the river, flowing, just to catch basin.
I had a few things that I live on a 50 wide single driveway. My wife and I are never going to the same place at the same time. Or, you know the struggle.
Yeah.
My initial concerns until I saw this overhead photo was the green space issue. But it looks like you've got an awful lot of backyard there, that's yours.
A ton, yeah.
Yeah. So that's nice to see that there's still plenty of green. I do agree, a driveway, house, driveway, house, driveway, house. It's not great, but I also understand the sliding like roof. I've had some friends in the city who lived in houses that were kind of the 1900-ish thing where like the entire thing just dumps straight into the driveway all the time. They basically have one car's worth all winter
Yeah.
from slate roofs and things. Um,
Which mine is also slate roof.
yeah, so it would be cool to me if it could tip towards your property and it looks like you're gonna stop shy of that side porch, which seems like it's a potential dump zone, but it'll be in front of that. And snow clearing is always a concern of mine that I feel like no one ever talks about. We always do this in the spring and summer. But it looks like you've got plenty of room in front of it to
Yeah.
push it on forward. So that's taken care of. With Mr. Sherrill, I kind of, I'm curious about 18 feet instead of 15. When I previously had to deal with parking lot spaces in the past, that was kind of the big rig consideration thing. I'm a little curious about that number instead of the 15. I don't know if that then starts making you run into things that are very good. We can't see what's voted or not, but I would wonder if that could be a consideration or something that could be looked at. To just a little bit longer. I think because in my experience too, you do these things and then someone comes to visit and stays overnight, and you guys deal with it on the other driveway, and then they park their, 6-kid family right there, and it's hanging out all the way to the block out the sidewalk in the street, and it's like, if you're spending all this money, another 3 feet might be another couple. And it would keep things off the sidewalk. Quite a bit. Just a thought of mine.
Wouldn't that be the same thing as you just went through? There's probably a certain depth a single car space has to be like an apartment.
Yeah, I can't swear to anything, but my
Yeah.
recollection of doing that 10, 15 years ago was 18 feet.
Yeah.
Was what you want to plan on for the big rigs.
I think,
I don't know if that's true, and I don't drive something that long, so but that's jangling around in the back of my brain.
I think the main thing is you just gotta make sure your bumpers aren't over the sidewalk. And she's got the ability to, if she had to, she could drive on the grass.
Yeah.
Herself in front. I would talk to the blacktop guy.
Okay.
Because you might find that maybe if you put an extra foot out, it might be $100, and it might save you a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the way I mentioned it was kind of just at the,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
edge of the porch, you know what I mean? But if I'm just saying.
The code requirement for depth on perpendicular parking is 18 feet and 9 feet wide.
Thank you.
So I would be fine extending that by 3 feet.
I mean, you have 12 feet there. Width-wise, you can get the 9, you can still make that up. 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The way this is drawn, it looks like there's enough depth to get it. Like across the side.
You might not need 12 feet. You could maybe end up with 10 feet wide and make it deeper.
Okay.
Because they put in blacktop at a square foot anyway.
And would that help then if it was, narrower with the runoff? We could make that.
Side.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, you could put stone, like you do blacktop, 9 feet wide and have a couple of feet, so a foot of stone on each side so the water.
Okay. Would that be acceptable as for your condition?
It's not appropriate, but that keeps the runoff under your property, and gives the water a place to go.
That would, okay.
So you're 18 feet, stone, 18.
Yeah, and the same thing in front, you go,
Stone.
20 feet. And it had stone, you know, an 18-foot driveway, you have 2 feet of stone, and that way that goes out for place for the water to go.
Okay.
Because that underneath there would be all stone anyways.
Yeah.
That's what they use that, might be a lot of the building for that water.
Just checking in here. Unfortunately, that I'm also the attorney for water sewer department tonight. So one of the concerns that Jeremy and Bill's letter brings up is an impervious surface, tip down on the sidewalk, impervious into the road. I don't know where the storm sewers are there, and I don't know where the drainage is on G10. So my concern, I guess, is that without more information on surface conditions there, that additional 18 by 10, so 180 square feet. Plus, you lose that grass strip, which is absorbing some water, so you're gonna end up, you're dumping a lot of water into the street, which could potentially create adverse environmental conditions in the street. So I guess, one, and my means, I'm trying to swing, again, my concern is, and the city under a lot of pressure right now from DEC, as President Budget, he's also involved to make sure that we're dealing that from our line. So we're not having to close whatsoever. So, you know, one of the things that could be done here is some more site pointer to show where the water is going to go. If you've got, you know, good drainage in your yard, if you're primarily sand, you can tip that driveway back into your yard and have it absorb it. I think you put a catch basin in the corner, drain down in the ground. And I think, you know, even to the point of the impervious surface, even if, you know, there's a combination of impervious and not impervious, it's all pitched to the catch basin or into your yard. I think that would address at least my concerns for increasing. And I don't know, I say this because we've had a lot of spots in the city of Glens Falls where there's dips in the road and they flood. So I don't know what your additional flow is gonna do for that. But I think it's-
So I think to talk to that too, like when I was mentioning like a pitch away towards your backyard.
Right.
And it
That's
does.
the kind of thing I was thinking of with,
Then it goes down.
you get some,
Yeah,
you
it
get some
does.
time, you know, with a good sunburn and some sore upper body from digging a hole for a dry well or something, like the impervious stuff is gonna cost, as you said, but if you can, or have some favors to call in for sweat equity, that stuff can be done for a whole lot less. It's just a pain to dig.
Yeah.
But that was, yeah, like all the stuff that he was just saying, and it's frustrating because, you know, none of us grew up with this, right? Like this, the whole city is just drive to the street, get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
And the bypasses that happen now because of the storms that we had are just incredible. They're unimaginable 50 years ago, and they're just getting worse every year. And it's like the temperature just every year is a bit hotter than the last. We're all getting floodier than the last. And so that's it's, we're not trying to pick on you here. But if you just tip it towards the backyard, in gravel things, the drywall, like all the stuff that would take care of these things and keep it off of running to the street.
What about meeting with, you know, you're gonna have some contractors look at this.
Mhm.
Give us a better site plan, meet with some contractors, that way we got a pricing.
Okay.
We can come back every month, we
Mhm.
can table this, and you can get some drawings.
As long as it's remaining in compliance for this month, we
Okay.
so I want to say, you know, violation letter on top of the plan, building inspector or any concern if it's something parking there, in order to disclose to you very clearly, meaning that you need to be in compliance.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
and we would have, you know, you'd have a great plan and more knowledge and bring stuff to us.
Yep.
We're just looking after the city.
Yep.
Overall.
So just meet with a contractor, have them look at it, draw.
Yeah, get it on. Then these guys are all out working, they can come up with some great ideas. Okay, you got another one, can't go into the street.
Okay.
Okay,
And you can't go to the neighborhood.
right, can't go to the pavement. It's got to stay out of your property.
Yeah.
And for them to put in, it's not a big area, put in a small catch basin or stall around it, something they have something to solve.
Is the basin versus stone like, or both? It has to be both, or
That's,
Okay.
do them up.
okay?
And then just remember that your apron has to be cement.
Yeah, from the sidewalk out, it has to be cement.
Oh, okay.
You'll get a thing, I think, with your neighbor, with the curb cut, their curb cut extends pretty far out. Would you be connecting the curb cut? with
Yes.
theirs? Right, so that whole thing would need to be done, I'm not sure if that would be something.
Yeah.
But it would all need to connect, so it would all need to be the same,
It's all.
So- right, so.
So their curb cut would have to be, it would.
The way the picture is, it's one of those that runs over that towards you.
Right.
as yours will flare out, as they do, it will, there.
It'll be water,
So it
the
will,
whole driveway is essentially.
so it'll just have to be the same all the way across because they already.
And so you're saying, and I guess I'm confused, so it's concrete now, right? And you're saying it can't be, there.
No, this strip between the sidewalk and the street has to be on that water.
Okay,
You're coming out like you're, there goes this way to that, and you're.
oh, so they just have,
So somebody's gonna put a cement size through there,
Yep.
so they'll be effectively the same thing, so they have to. It's not the letter, it's no problem here, but this is gonna be all the same thing, because
Okay.
it's already where you need to be, so you have to be part of it.
understood,
It's
yep,
hard, just.
yep,
You know, maybe one quick thing too that might help, you haven't been here. I think the word basin might be kind of terrifying. And what I'm thinking is, say, if she takes and put in a 15-foot blacktop, and then she had a 3 feet of crushed stone that's maybe 2 feet deep.
Right.
That's a basin. It doesn't have to be, we're not talking about the mall parking lot. We're talking about maybe taking 3 feet of crushed stone, a foot deep, 2 foot deep, so as it pitches back, it permeates into the ground.
okay,
So it doesn't have to be a catch basin with a drainage system. and all.
okay,
So crushed stone.
okay, understood,
Yeah.
thank you,
Table it.
okay,
Good with that?
see you next month.
I'd like to make a motion, like before, let's call it board, acting as the board, site plan review. Table the project known as encroachment permit project heating wells, commonly known as strategic Beacon Street, as presented at the meeting of June 4th, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
I,
All right.
Sign board review BP 25-004, Trim Lane LLC, owners of tax map number 303.17-13-8, commonly known as 18 Kern Lane, are proposing 2 square foot painted murals and 160 square foot painted mural to be installed on the side of several shipping containers already existing on the property pursuant to the City of Glensville zoning code, chapter 220-20-1. This will require signboard review.
Okay. I think you
Introduce yourself.
said everything, so I'll, if there's questions, I'll try and answer questions.
Would you like to start us out? You got any questions?
I love this stuff. I've been actually trying to figure out what could be fair on the side of my business, because I have this whole trend. So, yeah.
No, I think it's a good idea. Question, how long do these colors last before they fade? Do you have to?
I don't know. We try and use the highest quality paints that we can. Well, let me back up. I encourage the artists to use the highest quality paints that they can. I don't, on these shipping container murals, they're picking the paint manufacturer that they're comfortable with. But we tend to clear coat these, as a protection. Yeah, as an anti-graffiti layer, so it, that's gonna help protect, the colors from UV deterioration as well. So,
Yes, and then.
I mean, I can't give you a firm answer. I mean, we prep the container with the Sherwin-Williams direct-to-metal primer, get all the rust and scratches off and get a real good, solid, stable surface for them to work on, because you don't have that for paint, you got nothing.
No, I generally think it's a good idea. I'm just curious. And what about the back side of these containers? Are they neighbors look at those? Are there any?
So, the back side of the container, that is basically in the backyard of Glens Falls Produce. So where they've got their trucks pulling in and out. I don't think they're having
big problem with it. I mean, we've got our dumpsters stored out behind those containers as well, and hopefully I'll be back later on in the year after I get through ZBA to part of the pavilion is gonna turn into a equipment storage shed back there, so we can get rid of our, at least put the, like, the snow plow and loader and all that stuff out of sight to kind of just clean up the property in general, so. I mean, that area on the back there, now, on some of the other containers that we're not talking about, they're just as they came in, but most of my neighbors have containers on their property too, so,
All right, I just need to make sure that,
you know, yeah,
interesting idea.
yeah.
So these two are.
So, yeah, one's facing Leonard and, the other two are facing Karen.
Good, yeah, good.
I like it. I like it.
Thanks.
You know, I have to lose it at the meeting. I assume it's over construction, almost like construction, so I'm moving forward. Maybe at a certain location, not certain.
Yeah, so back,
I think that can move to.
no, so back, I don't remember when it is, a couple, 2, 3 years ago, I came and, you know, the placement of those containers was approved. So that part of it's been taken care of back 2, 3 years ago.
And they were not storage, they're blocked. He went through, so they went through this, it's called a miracle run. And went through the process.
These get coming from accessory structures. So the thing is that my concern would be to pick up that accessory structure and move it somewhere else. Or anything in the location. Or it is not, anybody would confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, so the intention right now, like, the mural garden concept, we were gonna do it, and this is like kind of the phase one portion of it. So, you know, this is the way it's gonna be laid out for X number of years, and then eventually, if we get the funding, we're gonna change it, but we'll be back here to get approvals for whatever we do in terms of moving things around. Now, the containers that are on this property that you're talking about tonight, as far as I know, those are just gonna be there pretty much forever. The containers that potentially are gonna be moved are the ones across the street. So,
You store them? No.
My turn. I agree with everybody else. I think it looks to me like it's just a continuation of what people do. Within the past year, I've had friends of mine from Selberg and from Johnstown that have come up to Lake George. But they also came down to Glens Falls to see all this talk about the murals and the painting and stuff.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's something I really think they're onto something.
yeah, no, we get people out there all the time, and I hear them talking, so I don't, those, and it's come specifically for,
Right.
to see those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so no, I think it's an asset to the city, and like I say, we've already approved. Some of these containers are just filling in the blank spot.
Mhm.
So, I have no questions.
Is it about the same or just for doing anything else?
no, it's, so far, it's been a different artist on each of those container murals well, I shouldn't say that. The Animal Cracker, mural is being done by Rodney Allen Bentley. He already did one, but I'm having him do that one specifically because that one is going to be kind of a community mural in terms of he's going to do like a wireframe, like a paint by numbers. And then people from the public are going to be invited to come in and fill in the sections, and then he'll go back and clean it up and touch it up. And I mean, I don't know if you've met Rodney, but I can see him working real good with the public, working good with kids, and he's here local. He's had in the past there, he had a traumatic brain injury, so he doesn't drive. He just gets around on his bike or he walks. So he's like, it's easy. He's in Glens Falls. It's easy for him to be here and kind of be out there on multiple days for the public to come and paint. So it like, but other than him, everyone, you know, is a different muralist every time. And I've got a list of people that are waiting to, you know, for their opportunity to come up.
Oh, that's okay. Anyone from the public like to make a comment?
All right, I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board acting as a board of assigned review. Approve the application of currently LLC, commonly known as 18 Current Leading. As presented at the meeting of June 4th, 2025. With no condition.
All in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Charlie, one, before you adjourn, I never remember if we did it or not, old business, SP 25-001. That is a type 2 action, so there's no further action. It's existing property. I know we do a bunch of things like that. So just clarify. I'll make a motion to adjourn meeting June 4th, 2025. All in favor? Okay.
Hi, guys. So I just wanted to reach out because our next